You have come to the right place. Please stay tuned and subscribe.
Access, catching the scammers in our backyard.
It certainly helped that CBC did their expose or episode on Marketplace.
First, the CRA scam.
Calling you from Revenue Agency CRA.
I paid them all the money I had.
The inside story from India.
We were trained like that to pretend to be like an IRS officer.
Then, tracking the tech support scam.
Why do you do this illegally?
What does it say that we were able to get inside?
Calls for action.
Make sure that Canadians are protected against organized criminals in India.
And the scams won't stop.
They're money laundering.
CRA scam, tech support scam, SIN scam, all connected, feeding on each other's leads. Revealed only on your marketplace. Just outside Toronto, federal agents are gearing up.
We already got the arrest scripts, you're all ready to go.
After months of investigation, they're about to carry out key arrests.
When he comes out, we'll be ready for him.
Cracking down on an international scam targeting Canadians.
Make sure he's properly secured for safety at all times.
We have exclusive access to witness this takedown.
All right, it's 2 a.m. We've just got the call we've been waiting months to receive. We knew the Mounties have been watching alleged scammers, and now they tell us they're ready to move in.
In some ways, this began 2 years ago with an investigation of our own. On the other side of the world.
My name is Dennis Gray, calling you from Revenue Agency CRA.
It's a scam Canadians know all too well.
Canada Revenue Agency filed a lawsuit against your name.
Not the real Canada Revenue Agency, but one of the largest cyber schemes in Canadian history.
There will be legal consequences and you will be arrested to defraud the government.
As we work to locate the scam centers in Mumbai, India, we met up with a whistleblower who previously worked inside one, Jayesh Dubey.
It was big money.
Yeah, it was big money.
More than you would make anywhere else.
I cannot make it anywhere now.
Easy to read the script, threaten the person on the other end of the line, all while impersonating an American tax agent.
Thank you for calling IRS. How may I help you? So we were trained like that to become an IRS officer, to pretend to be like an IRS officer.
You're threatening people.
Yeah,
You're saying they could go to jail, they could get arrested.
You could get arrested if you try to fight against the IRS. Then the penalty is $75,000, which you can never pay, and your assets and all is going to get freezed.
We track calls like that to a scam center inside this building. But when our local helpers knock on the door,
So the call center has moved out. They realized someone was onto them.
it turns out the danger is still there.
So it's now clear to us this area is dangerous, that we need to get out, that we're being
You have
watched,
come to the right
and that the people
place.
who went into the building
Please stay
before us, they're being
tuned
followed.
and subscribe.
It all shows how dangerous these scammers can be.
Why do you think they were following you?
I guess still the work is going on, but not at that place.
We still have questions. How do the scammers know who to call? How do they get money from victims? Could it be there's an accomplice at the top in Canada? Jahangir Rashidi has those same questions.
How did this start?
With one call, phone call. They call and they said, this is Revenue Canada and Government of Canada lawsuit you for $99,500.
What did you think when you heard? It's a huge amount.
I said, I don't have it. He said, go and borrow from the bank. Go to your friend. Go to your employee. Go wherever you can make money. Doesn't matter. Just you have to pay. You have to pay, you pay.
He's from Iran, where the government actually does make demands like this. He worried the call was legit and paid big.
110,000 altogether. 45,000 was my RSP. And then $5,000 my saving account. $4,000 for my last paycheck checking account. $5,000 from my son. And the rest, credit card, line of credit.
His life savings gone. Back in India.
So how long have you been police commissioner here?
Top cop Parambir Singh says the scam kingpins are leading a rich life.
One of the main accused, he had a very, very high-profile lifestyle. He was probably thinking of buying a private jet also at that point of time.
A private jet?
He was thinking of buying one, yes.
Funded by millions stolen from victims living in North America. And Commissioner Singh has another shocker about police in Canada.
Nobody contacted us from Canada.
No one's contacted?
No one contacted. American authorities did contact us. No one contacted. Although on the website of RCMP, we did see a post relating to our cases once. But
you're telling me 60,000 people at least have complained in Canada and nobody from Canada has told you anything?
Nobody contacted.
And the only way you found out about it is by going on the RCMP website yourself?
That's right, yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right.
When our story airs across Canada, there is outrage.
Can the public safety minister explain why Canadians have to depend on the CBC to unearth this scam and protect Canadians? Will the Prime Minister tell us how we will follow up to ensure that these calls stop and to make sure that Canadians are protected against organized criminals in India?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we trust our security services and intelligence agents to do what needs to be done to protect Canadians at home and overseas.
The RCMP later say they have been talking to India, but all this attention puts the issue on the front burner, empowering more people to come forward.
This is really scary. This is really scary.
I paid them off. The money I had.
My stomach was just, it's sick. You feel sick.
A month after our story, top brass order a special task force be set up at this secure facility outside Toronto.
You have come to the right place. Please stay tuned and subscribe.
Project Octavia.
It's essentially a national priority investigation.
And Inspector Jim Ogden has a surprise.
Certainly what I know and what I can share is that there are known targets, leads. When we get enough evidence, then we will charge and prosecute these individuals. And just so I'm clear, are we talking about people who are in this country, in Canada? That's correct. Who are helping carry out this scam? That's correct. They're defrauding the Canadian public and sending it away. They're money laundering.
While the Mounties focus on tracking the Canadians connected to this crime, our trail took us back to India. A year after our first investigation into the CRA scam, and we closed in on the call centers carrying out another one. This time, we had something up our sleeve, hiring someone to sneak in a hidden camera.
All the activities are going wrong in the background of your computer.
We're the first to get inside.
I'm moving to the Windows, that is firewall is not on, right?
The tech support scam, with criminals using scare tactics to demand payment for a computer fix you likely don't need.
I want you to apologize. What is the reason you are abusing? No, I want you to use, I will be calling you again and again.
What made you think this was legitimate?
He sounded genuinely concerned and led me to believe that he could fix the problem.
When Diane McGinn's Facebook account stops working, she calls up a number she thinks is for Facebook support, but ends up with a convincing scammer instead.
When you look back on it now, how do you feel about it?
I was vulnerable at the time, and I was impulsive. Yeah. And I feel very violated that they had access to everything on our computer. Our laws should protect us against things like this.
After months of our own investigation, we're ready to confront those targeting Canadians.
It's amazing to think it's right here.
Back in India, we've seen the scammers can be dangerous, so we're moving quickly.
Right here, this is the one we've been watching for.
The company whose name is at this address says this is a legitimate operation, but we know some of the people inside are
You have
running
come
a
to the
scam.
right place. Please stay tuned and subscribe.
We will talk to top bosses.
There are real victims. Real victims. These are real people who cannot afford to lose this money. You're taking it from them.
It seems no one here wants to talk to us. At least while we're here, they're off the phones.
Anyone want to say anything? Nobody. Okay.
Back in Canada, we share our findings with the RCMP's highest-ranking financial crimes official, Superintendent Peter Payne.
What does it say that we were able to get inside a call center like this?
Yeah, no, I applaud your efforts for getting in there, but once again, police alone cannot solve this issue. There's lots of call centers over there.
What do you say to the scammers who are over there who think they're unstoppable?
We're not giving up this battle.
Turns out that's a bit of foreshadowing. The Mounties know there are accomplices in Canada. They know who they are, and we're about to find out too. This is your marketplace. On the roads outside Toronto, a man has no idea police are on his tail.
Picking up speed to 86. Open up to 2 lanes. He's traveling in lane 2.
The RCMP closing in on Canadians they say are accomplices in an enormous cyber scheme, and we're about to witness it all go down.
We're just outside the RCMP's secure facility. After months of investigation into some of the largest cyber schemes in Canadian history, they're ready to take action. And these are schemes like the CRA scam, the tech support scam, the bank investigator scam, the SIN card scam, all of it coming to a head early this morning.
We started our investigation in October of 2018.
Inspector Jim Ogden oversees Project Octavia, the specialist unit investigating overseas call center scams.
My message is that we'll find you, and we'll further investigate, and we'll charge where we can.
We've traced many of these scams back to India.
This is Brian calling you from Tech Center.
Like the tech support scam.
How much money was stolen from you?
$3,000.
$3,000.
When Nahid Philippos's phone stops working, she Googles a solution and calls the number that appears on her screen.
He went onto the phone and he said there are many problems on the phone. There are hackers from Russia, from India, from Brazil.
He said all that about your phone?
Yeah. He said it's a complicated issue. We need to work on this phone. It has to be minimum $3,000 to be able to do the transaction.
Nahid pays up. Her money gone.
I said, where's my money? Where's my money? Are you the scammers? Are you thieves? He then hung up the phone. Then I tried again like 10 times, 12 times. Nobody wanted to answer.
Even as police close in on multiple scams, the scammers are adapting, adding a new scheme involving Canadian social insurance numbers.
We just suspended your social insurance number and legal enforcement action will be taken against you as we found some suspicious activities.
And law enforcement,
you have come to the right place. Please stay tuned and subscribe.
That's bringing us back to Microsoft headquarters near Seattle and inside its digital crimes unit. We were here a year ago checking out how artificial intelligence is helping trace the scammers.
This is a very profitable crime with a very low risk of prosecution. We need to invert that equation.
Lawyer Juan Hardoy oversees the global unit here, feeding tips and evidence to India.
Over the last 10 months, India law enforcement has dismantled 30 call centers and has brought to justice 72 directors of call centers there.
But Microsoft tells us while there have been arrests in India, there hasn't been one conviction of a scam boss since 2014.
You got this letter right.
Show me that.
That's really interesting.
But Hardaway says they're not giving up, continuing their war with the scammers. He says Microsoft gets a complaint of someone impersonating their agents every 7 minutes.
Bad guys are now selling calls for call centers to exploit.
It's almost like a scam franchise.
Exactly. And it has evolved into that because there's so much money to be made. And as I said, the profits are so big relative to the investment.
Our own investigation has led us to believe that there are people in Canada helping with this scam, helping move money and do other things. Is that something that you understand as well?
Yeah, that's correct.
One trail leads to this house in suburban Vancouver. CBC the first to discover court documents which accuse the man who lives here of retrieving the money for a fraud connected to these scams. He even allegedly moves approximately $1 million through his accounts. Prosecutors say that is laundering the proceeds of unlawful activity and are trying to seize the house. His father owns it and denies any wrongdoing, while his son has now reportedly fled to China.
We need to target the wallets of the bad guys so that if the money stops flowing, they're not going to be able to keep their operation running and they will go out of business.
Microsoft is targeting those money mules and talking to Canadian police about how to do it.
We're working with law enforcement and with also other banks, financial services industries, to identify those.
You have come to the right place. Please stay tuned and subscribe.
And money be returned to victims.
And they're not the only ones. Canadian police are hot on the case too. The Mounties are about to take down what they call a super money mule, a top-level scam associate who lives right here in Canada. Who they are and how the Mounties found them, coming up. This is your marketplace. It's a federal raid. RCMP officers about to move in.
Heading down a small hill, picking up speed.
They're on the tail of a man they say is a big player in scam calls that plague Canadians.
He's past the Canadian Tire sign. We're grabbing it right now.
They took away my trust, my confidence, everything.
Nahid Philippos is a victim of one of those scams. She's waited a long time to see action.
Who should be trying to stop these guys?
Why don't the authorities in Canada and India cooperate together?
Victims like Nahid and all of us who get these calls incessantly are about to see the RCMP act. Seconds after the target arrives at work, officers move in. We're not allowed to get any closer to this factory in Georgetown, northwest of Toronto. As the man in the reflective jacket is taken into custody, everything in his pockets placed in bags by police.
Seems he had no idea that he was being surveilled, that police officers were following him, and they got him just as he showed up for work.
We've agreed not to identify the police, since many of them are undercover. The man is being charged with fraud, money laundering, and property obtained by crime. We watch as he's taken away, a morning he'll probably never forget. As the man arrives at the RCMP headquarters in Milton, Ontario to be fingerprinted and processed, officers are on the phone to his wife telling her she's wanted too. Her husband already in custody. She's told to turn herself in. And we're there when she arrives.
You're under arrest for fraud.
They were essentially money mules or money mule managers that were receiving bags of cash.
RCMP Inspector Jim Ogden tells us his team's investigation shows this couple was working directly with Indian scammers.
And then essentially dispersing it and making it accessible to those that are running the illegal call centers in India.
What helped get you to this point today?
The CBC Marketplace episode you did in India certainly raised a flag for the Public Safety Minister and senior representatives in the RCMP.
At a later news conference,
Gurinder Preet Dhaliwal, 37 years of age, from Brampton, Ontario, and Inderpreet Dhaliwal, 36 years of age, also from Brampton, are charged with the following criminal offenses. 1 count of fraud over $5,000, 1 count of laundering the proceeds of crime, and 1 count of property obtained by crime.
The Mounties reveal thousands of dollars in cash, more than $100,000 in jewelry, even a money counting machine allegedly used by the couple. The couple have yet to appear in court to submit a plea in response to the charges.
It's about time. It's about time, guys.
We show footage of the arrests to Nahid.
When you see a guy like that in handcuffs,
I'm happy, definitely very happy about that. And I appreciate what the police has done to do this. This is a big victory. Even if I'm not getting my money, I'm happy that an action is being taken. For other people to be safe, this is very important.
Kudos to the woman whom you interviewed and was willing to come forward and tell everything, tell all. Victims need to see that they're not alone.
Watching the RCMP takedown, Mark Simchison, the former head of a major fraud unit.
Thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to this channel for more exciting content.
You waited a long time to see. Are you surprised that it's happened?
I wanted to have faith, and I'm glad they proved me right. That's kudos to them, because that must have been really difficult. Must have been really difficult. And kudos to Marketplace and you guys, because you're the ones that instigated all of this, in my view.
What do you think the likelihood is that these scam calls disappear?
Not very. Not very. They're going to continue. The frequency may drop, may change.
Why is that?
Because there's still victims here that are vulnerable. Fraud is, it's theft with a smile.
The arrests aren't over. The RCMP say they're targeting more people in Canada and abroad.
This is going to be a deterrent for sure. We're going to get our co-conspirators that are here in this province thinking twice about, oh, I thought we were untouchable, and they're not.
It's the counterfeit crackdown.
It says in big red letters, we don't sell any fakes.
5 companies, 100 products.
I'm shocked. How many other people is this happening to? How many other people don't even know this is happening to?
Getting a good deal or getting ripped off with a fake.
When you follow the money, it gets really scary.
Could the products be dangerous?
Lead and the chromium concentrations are quite high.
Thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to this channel for more exciting content.